Yes, welcome to the Mate Ready podcast. You're here for another episode of Coach's Corner with myself, Daniel Tindall, and Adam Glover. How you doing, dude?
Hello, my man. It is good to be back. I am loving these podcasts, and I'm excited about today's one. I think it's going to be good. It's when we set the topic, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, we were thinking about what we were doing, what we were going to talk about, and it made sense to me that we talk about the setting a standard. And we've been doing some work behind the scenes in what we're bringing out for the Brotherhood for Mate Ready, setting a physical standard. You especially been doing more of the work than me. I've just been enjoying it take shape and commenting here and there. But yeah, we've been putting some work into that this week, and that's very exciting for me. And I thought, yeah, this conversation should be about what standards we set ourselves as men, and not just physically, but intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, across the board, how we show up to life, what standards are acceptable for us.
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing to give voice to. So many people and so many men tend to just ponder through life, and it kind of has that impact. And like you said, today, this week for us, we've been from a physical aspect, because there's different areas which we'll go through. But from a physical aspect, we've been oh, here we go, big word of the day, ruminating on what that is for
Yeah.
for Mate Ready, and what we've been thinking about, and I think it's really cool. And when I thought about what I would expect a standard to be, there should be levels to that.
Yeah.
Because if we put this as like the standards here, and if you're below it, you suck. like
Yeah.
that just seems a bit self-serving and a bit elitist. But I think the way we're approaching it, having the levels, having the different modalities that we're looking at setting that standard to, I think it gives, even just sat there like conceptualizing it, I was like, yeah, this is cool, because I can see us doing that. I can see us training to that specificity and making sure that we're aligning who we are to the outputs that we want from a physical aspect. And that's something that I think, obviously we're going to go into it in a bit more detail, but there's so many things you can hang a put a pin on and say, we need to test this, we need to test that. And you could, before you know it, you could have a list of 100 different things that you should be able to do. So the challenge was, right, how do we narrow that down?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I think going back before we've even looking into what the exercise is, and that is like, why are we setting a standard physically? From my point of view, it's because I feel like we do live in a society that's largely sedentary. I think we both can agree that a lot of the corporations and our whole environment are not serving our health. They're not trying to make us fitter and stronger and better humans, and therefore we need to set our own physical standards. And yourself, you've got a military background. You're used to having that standard set for you and having to meet that. And me, from my martial art background, there's a standard that I've always tried to keep to of at least being not too far away from fighting fit.
Yeah,
And I've managed to trail off that path quite far in previous years. But it's important that I have that physicality, and that, yeah, I meet a standard that I am happy with, that I can look at that man in the mirror and be like, yeah, okay, you know, we're thereabouts where we need to be.
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's that the requirement, and it isn't a standard to hold yourself against other men. That's not what it is. It doesn't provide a hierarchical nature of like, well, oh, Daniel can deadlift more than me. That means he's better than me. Or I can run faster than Daniel. I can't run fast, but I can run faster than Daniel. But like,
You can run faster than me.
but it's not a hierarchical thing. It's like it's that man in the glass, right? And we shared something about that this week. It's that You stare at yourself in the mirror. You hold yourself to that standard. It's you in that standard that you accept it to. And when we think about what those markers are, well, I think what we're creating with the Make Ready standard is actually quite unified. It's like anybody can come in and do different. It's equal, like, because it caters to people of different parts of maybe who they are. Like there's standards there to hold yourself against push pull, against grip strength, against carry, against cardio stuff outputs, even swimming, even weighted walking, like all these. There's so many different aspects that we've looked at to go, what does that do? Does that make an all-rounded person? Yes, you've got your peaks and your strengths and your weaknesses, but can you hold yourself to that account? And can you look at yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, okay, I've tested myself against those aspects, and I have the ability to perform at those levels. And I think that really sets the benchmark for the individual to identify weakness in their own performance. And I don't mean weakness like weak's bad, you shouldn't do that. I mean, okay, I'm really good here, but I'm lacking down here. Yeah. Do I care? Because if it's at the standard, if it's at what I'm minimally allowed to accept, great. Yeah. But if it is something I'm like, oh, not too happy with that, then maybe we need to address it. Maybe we can be, but what does that give us then? Give us as the coaching team. It gives us okay, cool, we've got somewhere to go at there. We've got something to lean into.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think as you say, it gives you the way we've structured it. We've got sort of like not the minimum bar. Again, it's a standard that I think if you hit that, in my opinion, there is a certain level of physicality that I think all men should be able to achieve. As a man, showing up and doing the things that are expected of us. And don't get me wrong, we're not all expected to fight wars or fight fights and stuff. But the reality is you don't know when trouble comes your way. And I feel like as men, well, we need to be able to protect the ones that we love. If someone breaks into your house, it's no good thinking, oh, the police are going to come, because 20 minutes is a long time to wait if you can get to your phone.
So it's like 40 minutes, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly, right? So, you have to have some form of physicality, and it's not just sort of from a physical protection point of view. Your kids, the main reason I want to put a loaded carry in there is I think every man should be able to put on a kid carrier backpack and have their toddler on their back for a decent hike. Because that's an experience that I think men should be able to give their kids, and I want men to have themselves. Yeah. Now, if they've let the standard go and they've just not fit enough, they might not even be fit enough to do a 10k hike, then I think that's something to aspire to achieve and work towards. And again, it's not about competing with anyone else. It's about like, how are you as a man going to set a standard to not only live your best life, but model for your children a healthy life? For me, I've got young kids, right? I've only just started having kids, really. I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 11-week-old. I'm going to be like an older dad, you know what I mean? Like, because I've started in my mid-30s. I need to be fit. Like, I'm well aware that my longevity is really, really important for me. I don't want age to be an excuse. I don't want niggling injuries to be an excuse. And therefore, for me, this standard allows me to be like, cool, I need to meet that. And as you say, I'm like, I need to meet that, the sort of mid-level standard or the base standard. And I'll probably cherry pick the ones that I want to go for advanced and elite on. I'll probably be competitive and probably want to get elite on everything. So,
but that's that competitive nature. Yeah. I think that's really powerful, right? And you're right. What you said there about your children, right? I've got a 9-year-old, and people I think people shy away from this, but you've got a duty. You've got a duty to be. As their father, as the man, you have. I'm not saying the mother can't be. You have a duty to be physically able. Like, like my daughter said something to me the other day. Like we're walking home from the school run, and she was like, "Daddy, I'm really happy that you're really strong because I know you can protect me." I'm not making that up. She actually said that to me, and it filled my heart with joy. And I was like, "Yeah, I can." Like, there's not much like, okay, if somebody pulled a gun, like, but like it's that confidence that is something that we lean in quite a lot, right? We lean into that confidence, that conviction, that clarity. It's that I know I have. And again, I don't know everything behind this, so please bear with me, Spotify, before someone fact checks me and tells me I'm wrong. It's not fake news, and even if it is, it doesn't matter. I think it's perfectly true. I remember reading somewhere that they interviewed some child sex offenders in prison, and they were asked, how did you choose the children that you went after? And went, oh, look at the parents. Look at the father. If the father's a physical being, if he's clearly physically able, I don't go near it. So when I say duty, I mean that.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing we are here to do is to protect the children we brought into this world. Yeah. So when you and I were having this conversation about the physical standard, we very much lent on, we don't want it to be a thrashing for the sake of a thrashing. It had to have meaning behind it. It had to be for a reason. And the stuff we've chosen, well, I'd argue that tests a lot of aspects of physical prowess to a good standard.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think it's great. I'm really excited to sort of launch it, release it, and train towards it. Because I know I'm not going to meet that standard to start with on a few of those things, because my training hasn't been focused in all those areas. So I'm really excited for it. And I think, especially now more than ever, like, we do have a duty, and we really need to step up physically. We can't just focus on other areas of self-development, financial provision, all of this other stuff, and neglect our health, because ultimately pretty much everything can be taken away. And what you're left with is your body. And obviously your health can be taken away, but we really need to be training and looking after that to give us a fighting chance. So I'm really excited by the physical standard. I think it's going to be great, and it's going to be fun as well, and hopefully inspiring and aspirational for people as well.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of led me on to what standard do we expect of ourselves. So I know for myself, I do aspire to sort of get, I know I'll be looking at those elite things and aiming towards them, because that's the type of standard, certainly in the physical aspect, that I do want to aspire to and I do expect of myself. And I think it's the same, is like, what areas of life do you have a standard, or don't you have a standard, or have you ever thought about having a standard? And I think it's a really important one for us men to, and at the beginning of the year, what standard do we want to set ourselves this year? As a man, as a dad, as a partner, as someone on the personal development pathway, like, where are those standards? And I know the physically, like, that's quite tangible, right? It's quite, I just think we should be fit and able, and look fit and able, be able to train, be able to execute on that as well and meet that. But how does that look in the other areas of our life?
I think that it's, like you said there, the physical is very tangible. It's like, this, do, sorted. Like, it's a thing. Whereas we look at the pillars we concentrate, the mind, the emotional intelligence, the mindset, the spiritual, as well as the physical. Well, those other three are quite difficult to quantify. Like, mindset is a massive massive thing. Emotional intelligence, same thing on its own, and the same with the spiritual. So it's very. I think the standards across those three pillars are so individual to what the person is willing to accept of themselves and what they're not. Because you can say you should be a good person. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. It needs to be tangible to the person. And so we could sit here and say, like, I know what I think of who I should be throughout those areas, and that's very unique to me. You know what you should be throughout those areas, very unique to you. And I think there's that kind of specificity there that applies to everybody. That we could all look at ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, what does that mean to me, and what do I expect from myself?
Yeah. As you say, it becomes very individualized then on those other areas. I think the physical aspect, yeah, we can kind of standardize that. And even then, you know, we've got those different levels, and it's kind of the same with, and it might even be interesting, you know, okay, if you set a standard to that through the other levels as a sort of minimum requirement to enter our club, we're not doing that. But, no. You know, I mean, what would that look like? Because it's I'm just speaking off the cuff here because I don't know. But so for me, like a mindset approach, what is the standard? The standard is always aspiring to have a growth mindset, to look positively on any situation, and despite the challenge, always look for a way through, around, not be crushed by that obstacle.
Yeah, and I think that you know, again, I'm going to do this. You know, I love quotes. Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize that and you'll find strength. Like mindset. You said a lot earlier, you spoke about earlier about what's in your control and things can be taken away. You said the body can be taken away. It can, like it can. So what do you actually have control over? That. What goes in there, and we've spoken about diet, and we've spoken all those things, right? If you want to go listen to that one, the previous few podcasts would be really good for that. But the mindset thing is for me is the awareness that is the only thing I can truly control. How I view the world, how I let it affect me, and then my output to that. Like, so for me, like you said there, that growth mindset point of view, my big standard is awareness of what is and what isn't in my control. If I can think about that in a more tangible remit, other things start to fall away. It's like, well, okay, well, I can't actually control that. It could still go horribly wrong, and then I'll have to react. But for now, this is what I can control, and this is what I will control. So from my mindset, if I explore opportunities for growth, if I explore opportunities for optimism and just feeling good and trying to look for the positive in things, fantastic. That's me having that mindset and understanding that if I project that, I'll most likely view the world in that way. Whereas if I'm sat there going, this is a bit rubbish, like more than likely, whatever happens, you'll view a negative connotation. So from a mindset perspective, like for me, it's that kind of, that's the only thing I can control. So control it well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Your mindset is your like ultimately it's the lens that you view life, and yeah, you get to choose that. I think that even as a standard of just remembering you're choosing how to view a situation. See a lot of people complaining about other people, being offended, this and that, getting caught in arguments, or just outraged over stuff, or feeling trapped by situations. And you know, some situations have been there before you do that, you feel trapped by them, right? And you feel like, yeah, that this is really unfair, but you still choose how you get to respond to that.
Yeah.
And it takes practice, and it takes a commitment to growth, a commitment to also challenging your thoughts. Is this true? is this true? Is what I'm thinking right now true? Is there another way I can view it? Is there another way that serves me, that I can view this situation? And I think constantly leaning into that is, for me, is really, really important. And having that positive aspect, that even we can come onto the emotional side, but even if the emotions, I'll have days that sometimes roll into a few days of feeling really, really low. I'm convinced that because I've worked so much over the years on my mindset, that those days don't spiral into weeks, into months of depression or whatever, that between and the diet and all the other things that combine. But I really feel like through having the correct mindset, it can really be powerful in addressing emotions and situations, because you understand it's going to pass. This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Right, I couldn't agree more. And you say it there, like you said it as like a kind of a off the cuff comment that you worked on your mindset over years, but you truly have. Like like the amount of work, like when I talk to you about mindset and stuff like that, and we have these conversations, it's always a learning experience for me. Like, and I always like listen to what you say and how you, because it is a very learned way through experience and the hard work. It's not because I can sit here and bust out quotes till the cows come home, right? That's great. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, it's unless you implement, right? Implementation and that kind of thing. And I think I hope you agree with this, but you're a student of implementation, but you also you you decide what you are going to try and what you aren't going to try, and what you that kind of, and that, I think that's kind of led you on a path and a journey that where you are now and how you sit. And I think a lot of people can learn from that. And I don't mean, I'm not sat here saying right, everyone must go on a 15-year journey to learn their mind deep side inside out. Like no one, like even 15 years is enough, right? You still surprise you 50 years later, to paraphrase Gandalf. But so see, it's a habit. But I think that the simple act of just accepting that this is something you're going to need to work on, and nobody has their shit in a sock. Excuse the expression. No one's all there. It's like, yeah, you got to do it. You got to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. You said some kind things there, and you've also shared. I haven't heard that analogy before. Shit in a sock. So thank you.
It's a military thing. Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm assuming it's a military thing. There are a lot of things that were said in my military career that I'm assuming are military things. I don't know.
Yeah. Probably. Mindset. I think it's that commitment, right? It's just commitment to growth, in my opinion, and to having that resilience and that sort of relentless optimism that you will find a way, and there is a way, and there's always a way to positively view a situation, even if it doesn't seem like that. Often people have to wait till hindsight to see it. That's why that happened. Oh, I learned a lot from that. That was really great. And I think through experience and enough faith, what you can get, what I've noticed that I'm now better able to do is kind of see the hindsight in the moment. I know what this is teaching me. Like I can see this. I know why this is happening. This is interesting. Let's see how this unfolds. And what that, for me, that helps do is accept the situation like straight away. Instead of pushing away, you're like, okay, cool. Not ideal. I wish I could learn this another way, but let's go. And I think that's through a lot of practice and a lot of like reflection and stuff like that. So I think for me, the standard is that learning as well. So in the mindset, the intellectual pillar, are you committed to learning or not? Because not everyone is.
Yeah.
I think we take it for granted. that we like reading books and listening to podcasts and bettering ourselves.
That's very true. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in this kind of, not culture, I don't mean like that, but what I mean is like it becomes your entire environment. It's all you focus on. And you forget that there are people who will never listen to this podcast, who will never have the step to, like, they'll just go and work through their life. And we've met people like that, like who are just, no, I go do my job, I graft, I work really hard, I go fishing on the weekends, and I do whatever. Like, we've met people like that. It's not to say they're wrong. It's just that's their outlook, and that's fine, because they will probably listen to this and go, "Oh, that's all washy," and then go, "Well, I probably actually do all that anyway." It's just on a different frame of mind, and it's interesting.
Yeah. So personal development can be it's that concept of sort of ignorance is bliss, and personal development can also be like just a complete like sort of narcissistic cycle of the self. It's just me, you know, how can I do this and everything, and it becomes less about the sort of your part in the world and more about, you know, you being the world. And it's not about that. If we're not doing this stuff to help serve the wider world, then we're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. So it's the awareness piece is really interesting, and it kind of goes into the next sort of most standard. I don't know if you can set standards for emotional intelligence, but you know, that other pillar of the self-awareness is like, are you committed to increasing your awareness? Are you committed to understanding your emotions more and the impact they have on your life and the life of people around you?
And already you could sit here and say, well, this is why people struggle with a standard to these things, because it is definitely not tangible. We sat here and spoken about mindset and the awareness piece and the growth and understanding, and now we're into emotional intelligence, and it's like, you know, being aware and understanding of your emotions. And there's a good friend of mine, a psychotherapist called James Elliott. He's in my phone as the brain because he just knows so much about it. Like, so what I'm saying here, I have no understanding underneath it, so bear that in mind, team. But he always, when he talks about emotional intelligence, he talks specifically about one scenario, and I'll play that all out for you in your head now. Like, you're driving along the road and you get cut up by a BMW driver who comes across two lanes, and he cuts you up and speeds off down the road at 100 miles an hour. What do you do? Well, what most people do is they get on the horn and they say some swear words and, you know, start ranting and raving, and it happens in that like immediate reaction moment, and your aggression, your anger comes out. People talk about the chimp paradox, right? And that kind of chimp brain takes over. But he's like, well, flip that on its head. What happens if that person's taken his wife to the hospital, who's just got into labour, who's, you know, she's in distress and nothing's going wrong and nothing's going right, and so, like, what do you think about that now? And he's like, oh, you know, yeah, no, that's acceptable. It's like, well, okay, so the difference then is the emotion and the awareness of this situation. Like, and it, obviously, you don't know that BMW has that person in it or whatever it may be in this hypothetical situation. But the whole point of what I hope, or what I took from that when he told me it and when he got through to me with it, was actually your emotions can betray you from what's really going on. So be aware of those emotions and be open to being wrong in your reaction. And I think that is such a fundamental part of emotional intelligence, but it's also something that people will be like, okay, I've done that, I'm happy, I've completed emotional intelligence. No, no, no. There's lots more to it, but that's just like being aware of your emotions and how that can influence your situation is a very big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, massively. I like that analogy. I think that's missing a lot in the world as well. Especially if you look at people's actions on like the social media thing to go by, there's so much like just judgment and criticism and no consideration of what someone else has got going on in their world. Just give people the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, those emotions can run and can get you in really like just bad situations if you can't self-regulate.
Yeah.
It's, and again, setting yourself a standard, it's harder with emotional, like, again, for me, I guess it would be a commitment to understanding my emotions, feeling my emotions, and understanding how they impact the way I behave and the way I think, and how they impact the people around me, because it does impact you. I don't know if I told you, but my 3-year-old the other day, I still haven't got back to her with an answer for that, pulled my partner aside and said, "Why doesn't Daddy cry like me?" She has noticed as a 3-year-old that Daddy doesn't cry. Mummy cries, she cries, Daddy doesn't cry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm still trying to think about how I respond to that. That is healthy and helpful, And it's like, I can't tell her, well, I struggle to cry. Oh, why do you struggle to cry, Daddy? I don't know. I'm a man, and in society we say we're not allowed to cry. So probably a lot of that, to be honest. But it impacts the people. Even a little 3-year-old girl who I was staggered that she'd even considered that as a thing. Why doesn't Daddy cry? I was like, oh, wow. So, whether you show your emotions or don't show your emotions, they have impact on the people around you.
Yeah. That is something that, like, I've tried over. This is the thing I have worked on probably the most, is trying to remain calm in all situations. I try my absolute best to not let things overtly affect me. They might be underneath, but try and be serene. Try and be that swan. Like that's if I can do that, I'm good. And it has worked, because a lot of people have told me that I seem to be quite a stoic person. I'm very much like, okay, don't let things affect me. Like a couple of years ago, I was in the gym and I failed the lift, and I let it get a little bit. I was like, got really annoyed. And a guy that had basically been in the gym at the same time as me, constantly training at the same time every day, he comes to me like, "Mate, are you all right?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You never make any noise when you train. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Okay, that's the thing." So, but that, and I worked on that because of something somebody said to me many years ago, which is interesting. Like somebody said one thing to me many years ago. I was like, well, I'm never doing that again. So, and it wormed its way into my head, and now it's such a, I've got to be in control. I can't show any of this. And how much has that come across as like coldness to my family, to my daughter? Do you know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, I'm in control. I'm like, this is good. I'm in control. Like nothing affects me. I've always got the solution. But then when you think about it, why doesn't my daughter like telling me when things are wrong?
Yeah.
Why doesn't she like doing, like, why doesn't she, when she knows something's wrong, and it might be trivial, she might know it's rubbish, but she won't tell me. And you're like, is it because of that?
Yeah.
And this is where that kind of what I've just described there about being stoic and having that feeling and trying to be in control. People are like, yeah, it's great emotional intelligence. Is it? Or am I adversely impacting somebody by being like that? And that's a really interesting conversation. I think that's more a different podcast conversation. But
Yeah,
for me,
it's a great one.
it's the standard when it comes to my emotional intelligence. I think is a good one to have, to not let things, like, take a breath, take a pause, not let things go. But when you drive it too much, what impact does that then have? And I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, dude. It's that self-regulation piece, because also, as you say, it's probably one for another podcast, to be honest, but the self-regulation as men, like, I think it's really important. We have to be able to self-regulate. You can't have men, especially if you combine that with the physical pillar of being a big, powerful man, not being able to self-regulate and flying off the handle, then that's a problem. And we've all seen men like that. They're unsafe to be around. And yeah, I really resonate with that. I'm really working on my ability to express more emotion, and because I could be happy, but I just look, just sort of just, are you happy? Yeah, I'm really happy right now. Tell your face that. All right, you need to do that. Need to work on that. I think that's a beautiful invitation of another aspect of emotional intelligence is social awareness.
Yeah.
And how you're impacting, and that empathy. If you're getting feedback from the people that you love, and you're noticing, oh right, there's these connections. Right, I really need to work on my capacity to show that I'm feeling sad, and be able to convey that to the people so that they feel. I guess you feel more relatable and everything like that, but whilst also being able to self-regulate and all of that stuff. And I think the emotional intelligence is just a big thing that I think men especially, and dads, need to really lean into, is that all of the awareness around this stuff. And we're not saying you have to be perfect or a lot of this is going to take years to fix as well, and a lot of deep work. I'm not saying you have to be able to cry. Like, I don't think men should be blubbering all the time. Should's a strong word, but it's not. Is it going to benefit you and the people around you? And is it a true expression? I don't know. Do I need to cry? Who knows? Sometimes I do get frustrated that I can't cry. That's certainly something that I try and work on, and I'm like, nope. And then that bit, when I can't cry and I want to, that's the piece where I'm like, that's the conditioning, because I'm not allowing it.
Yeah.
My body's not used to this. But again, that's just it's a whole piece.
Yeah. It's the standard of it is, I think more and more it's even this, if the standard is, okay, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to be a bit more open to my beliefs being challenged, because, well, actually, I'm going to rephrase that. I'm open to my identity being challenged, because I think that's a massive part of it, right? You attribute who you are to these character traits of like who you are as an individual, and for you to be like, well, what does that actually mean? Why am I doing that? It's like, oh, am I pulling apart this part of my identity? And maybe that's what the standard is within these things. The standards that we are setting is, okay, I'm open to being challenged on this, or challenging myself as to why. I'm not saying you have to sit down with a therapist. I'm not saying any of that. Maybe you just sit in the mirror and go, oh, why do I do that?
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot to sit there and go, like you just did, I'm aware of when the conditioning has happened.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I thought about with the emotional side of things is like a standard or something I want to aspire to do is when I'm feelings, when I'm feeling low, whatever it is, things are challenging, share it instead of carrying it on my own. Because when I carry it on my own, that links into self-sabotaging behaviour. You know, my relationship with binge eating and stuff like that, that all stems from hiding. And then it ends in a self-destructive pattern that then doesn't help me, A, be the man I want to be, but the man my family needs. So I think from my own standard, it needs to be speak about it, don't hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that leads nicely on to probably the last one, and again, one of the hardest to quantify is spiritual pillar, and what standards are we setting there?
Yeah. I'm noticing with these, everything apart from physical, I feel like it's a commitment to growth and to sort of doing the work. That's and the spiritual pillar. I know it's the hardest one that men struggle to connect to. We live in a very secular society, you know. There's not much spiritual about, you know, with any focus to anything really. There's a lot of mistrust in the world. There's a lot of religions and people pretending to be or professing that they follow a certain religion, doing a bunch of obscene things that are completely against the religion. So, and we live in a very techie, distracted world. It's very hard to feel a true spiritual connection when you're stuck on your laptop scrolling all the time.
Yeah.
Or your phone scrolling all the time, or watching Netflix or playing video games. It's not conducive to a sense of spiritual living.
No. And I think that this pillar is something that people, one, they push to the end because, like, you could argue like we have, but they do it because they don't know where they stand in it. They don't know what it means. They maybe attributed a label to it. Oh, okay, spiritual. I don't believe in God. I'm not going to church. Done. Move on. Like it doesn't have to mean that. Like the spirituality of who we are as people, the connections that we will speak about. Like I can attribute social connections to spiritual. Like, do you feel like, you know, is there a space where you feel safe to talk and have a conversation, or, you know, even just a step away from all the technology in the world? For me, like the faith side of the coin is something that I am exploring is the wrong word. Accepting is something that I need to kind of figure out how I feel about it. Is because I've had lots of things happen over the past year that would all, if I wasn't being, if I was just jumping in head first, I'd be like, yeah, sweet, cool, I'm in. But I still don't want to. I don't want to go so deep into it without realizing or understanding why I've come to these points and why I think that way. And I want to be aware as I take steps, not blindly take them. And be like, okay, cool, I feel that way because of X. This is that, and I'm not seeking with my own personal steps into this. I'm not seeking a level of certainty, because that's not what faith is. It goes completely against the name faith. Certainty, faith, the opposites. But it's also of like, okay, cool, why am I doing this? You know, you have of course been very, you know, open about your own journey into religion and Christianity, and I am somewhat more tempered. no, not temper's not the word. I don't know what word where I'm taking it very much slower in the sense of, okay, I feel that way, and giving it when it comes in, trying to bring that awareness to it and why I feel that way and stuff like that. There is stuff that I'm doing that to kind of see how I feel about it. It's not me sat there going, oh, I'm waiting for a sign, because that's stupid. I'm exposing myself in ways like, just for anybody who's watching this, like, I don't mean like that, but I'm giving myself the space to take some form of Christianity or faith on board, to understand how I feel about it, and being accepting of the message. I think is something I would say. Like, it's like, okay, they're saying something, let's listen to it. Don't just blindly push it off because it's come from a source that you maybe earlier in your life would have dismissed. Like, listen to it. And so for me, from a standards perspective, in a faith pillar, it is about, okay, step with intention. Don't overdo it. Don't go like down the the fanatical route of, and fanatical is a very difficult word to say when it comes to religion, but don't jump in there and be the only thing, or don't openly dismiss it. There is no need to make a rushed decision or a choice here. It will come when it comes, and you'll know how you feel. And that, for me, again, hijacked this point a little bit, apologies, but that's kind of where I come into faith and how I feel about it, especially from a 2026 perspective. That's kind of where I see.
Nice, man. Thank you. It's not hijacking it at all. It's interesting because you're at a different place where I am. So it's really interesting to hear your point of view. Is openness a good word to describe sort of an approach you're having to it?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say openness. There's you very kindly, given me some books. You've directed me towards some stuff that you think I'd find really useful, and they have all been very well received. There's nothing in there that I would say is I'm like, oh no, that's wrong. I'm not doing that. Like, it's openness to, like, okay, take it for what it is, listen to it as the individual thing without any of the social biases that come with stuff like this, and see how you truly feel in that. And I think for me, if I can, again, the standards, if I can have that standard throughout the year, I should arrive at a decision or a conclusion where I feel that's come from my own head or somewhere else. Where it's like, okay, not me listening to a narrative from somewhere else that definitely isn't the way I think.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's interesting because I'm been exploring faith, spirituality. It's kind of two sides of the same coin, almost. Like, spirituality, for people who don't believe in God, I really direct to nature. It's that feeling of connection to the world around you. Like, can you be immersed in nature and look around, like see nature? Just look at the birds, look what they're doing, just noticing everything and just taking that breath in and be like, wow. Like, can you place yourself as a human being that's in nature and that's of nature, and feeling that connectedness to the world around you? And as you say, social settings, there's nothing much more spiritual than sitting around a fire with a group of men sharing. Like, that's pretty spiritual. It's incredible. Like, that feeling, a connection. I've held a lot in men's circles. You experienced it last year at the retreat, that feeling of connectedness when you leave 3 days of sharing, breaking bread with men, of learning together, of sharing stories, of fighting together.
Yeah,
it's powerful. That's spiritual.
Hands down, some of the best feelings I have of last year came from those 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, and you said it there, right? I kind of spoke a lot about faith and religion there, but that spiritual connectivity that we hold every week is massive. It's huge. Like, virtually and in person, because you feel that connection, you feel that shared journey with the people who are part of this program, part of the Make Ready program. And I think that when you start to let the walls fall down, it's difficult to do, granted. When you start to let the walls fall down and you start to experience that and you feel that connection, especially around that fire, especially when we were cooking, living together, especially when we were sharing our lives, sharing hardship, doing all those things, that true connection gave us so much more than just, oh yeah, I meditate, or I went for a walk once in the woods. Like, those things are great if you're going to do them consistently and commit to doing them, fantastic. But the real power, in my opinion, of faith, of the faith pillar, of the spiritual pillar, is in connection with other men.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I guess for me, the commitment, the standard is to continue the path of searching.
Okay.
Keep searching. Keep and I always say to people, faith is an active thing. If you want faith, if you think there's something there, then you need to show up. Like going to the gym, you have to show up, you have to train, and you have to make space for it. I wish I could recite quotes like you can, because there's some great ones about God being found in the silence. Like, he's not there in the distraction. You're not going to find him on... You find some really beautiful teachings and stuff on Instagram and Reels and everything, and I listen to loads of podcasts and scripture, and it's fantastic. But you will find God in the present moment and in the silence. And it's a commitment to searching and to be open to it. It's the thing that I guess I wish I could convey to more men and help land. Keep searching. Keep making space for it and keep showing up. If you want to have faith, if you truly want to believe in God, then pray like you believe in it. And make the time and space to not only pray, but to listen. Because you will notice things. And these little coincidences, you'll start really realizing are like God incidences. And you'll be like, oh, there's something there. There is something there. But men aren't going to find it if they're not showing up to it as a spiritual and as a faith pillar. They're not. If they're not making space for it, they'll never find it. And in my experience and my belief, there's that God-shaped hole that we all have. Because nothing's enough. There's nothing material in this world that becomes enough. There's always more money, more this, more that. We always want more, all the time. And I think that's because there's something missing. We're sort of born into this world with something missing, and that's the connection to Spirit, to Father, to God, to the Creator, whatever you want, whatever label, whatever theology you want to put on it. So for me, the standard is make space for it and commit to a journey, and it's a great journey. It's amazing. I've been on it for many years now. I've gone through all different traditions, and I've ended up where I've ended up. But yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this year pans out with those standards in place.
Yeah, for sure.
There's another thing I'll say, and it's kind of a quote, it's kind of not. And I when I first heard this, I almost vomited in my mouth because it's so right, because it's come from a military perspective, and the standards you walk past are your standards you accept. So it's all well and good. You sat there going, this is what I'm going to hold myself accountable to. You walk past them every day. Doesn't matter. 6 months down the line, like, are these the standards? Yeah. How often do you embody those standards every day? I've maybe done it 5 times. 5 times out of 180 days. Is that? Do you think that's good enough? And so it is the standards you walk past are the standards you accept.
Yeah, I like that.
I didn't when I first heard it.
Fair. It's. I think it's so important that we set our own standards, or we're in a group of people that we respect, and there is a standard there to collectively meet together. Because if not, whose standard are we going by? Society's? Mate, I have a big problem with society and the people in charge telling me what to do, because I think their standards are poor.
Yeah.
Like, and I always find, you know, when people compare to other people, well, most people do this, or most people just don't compare. Let's not compare to most people. Most people's standards, they don't have any, or they're very low. And I know that may sound, I'm aware that's how it sounds, people, but we don't compare ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
Like that, most people. No, set your standards, because if you let society set your standards, you're probably going to end up pretty depressed, pretty confused, and pretty unhealthy. Like,
The other day I was watching, like, it was just a quick snippet on Instagram of a bunch of like TV talk show hosts and actors all sat around a table, and they were saying about things that they found really moving and really powerful. And one of them brought up a cartoon, like an adult cartoon, Rick and Morty. I've seen little bits of it, like, you know, like stuff like that. It's not really my jam. But he said in one of those cartoons, the two main characters are being, they go on stage at a place or something, they get booed, and the scientist guy, don't know who he is, the old guy, he's like, your boos mean, sorry, I need to say this properly. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what you people cheer for. I'm like, oh, like, and that's come from a cartoon. I'm like, wow, like that is, you want to be shaken to your core. Like, oh yeah, that's what society is the mob. It is people. That's how they think, and it's just like, it's very true when you attribute your own worth to what society expects of you. It is a surefire way to just unhappiness.
Yeah. It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. That's like the only quote I know. I think that's Krishnamurti.
There's me quoting and you're quoting. we just need to do a whole podcast of just quotes. Like, it's
that's the only one I've got.
so it's going to be me talking for an hour.
Yeah. That's the only one I've got. But I really like. I love that quote. You know, you can't measure yourself by society standards, because the standards are awful. That's why. Well, I'm just very against quite a lot of things, and especially over the last 5 or 6 years. Things are just absolutely. You can tell when things are sick and gone twisted is when things are so upside down and inverted, and that's where society's going. But these standards we need to hold for ourselves and each other accountable to. Us, you know, in the brotherhood. And what I find interesting as well, you know, those haven't been tangible. And I think this is the thing, and this is one of the big reasons I've brought you, you know, more into Mate Radius, because like I'm wanting something tangible, and it's the physical pillar. And guess what? The physical pillar also ties in. It's your mindset.
Yeah.
Because it challenges you. It's how you approach challenge. It's your emotional intelligence, because your emotions do drive behaviour. So if you're not emotionally aware, you're probably not going to be achieving a certain physical standard. And then spiritually, having faith is, you know, there's a lot about physical discipline in faith and the spiritual path. Again, it's hard to I would imagine, well, I don't know, I'm probably speaking complete rubbish here, but to be following, to be truly following a spiritual and even a religious path, you need to be looking after your body, because all the great traditions teach fasting, teach abstinence, teach self-restraint, teach gluttony is bad. Like, it ties it all together, and there we go. That's the physical standard, and that's the one that we're setting in Make Ready. So
that's the one.
It's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, brother.
It's gonna be good. I'm really looking forward to it. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed that conversation. Some stuff to reflect on. Maybe put pen to paper. What's your physical standard? What's your standard across the board for the intellectual, emotional, spiritual? What's your personal development? What's your standard as a man? How you're showing up in the world? Where are the metrics that you need to meet to be content with how you're showing up this year as a man? If you need support, if you want to work with us, if you want to find out what the physical standard is, get in contact. We're going to have it out very soon. We've got a new program launching very, very soon. So, can't wait. It's exciting.
It's going to be incredible.
It's going to be good. And we've got in-person events this year. So if you want to join us around a fire, break bread with us, come and learn, test yourself, be amongst it, get on the website. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, please share it, send it to a friend, like, subscribe, do all the things. And until next time, keep showing up, men.